What's the best handgun for self-defense? Well, if you're new to guns and you're looking for something to conceal carry, then this video is for you. I'm going to help you narrow down the options so that you can find the best handgun to carry for your own self-defense. Now, before I get started, I should say that if you ask the question, all right, what's the best gun for new gun owners? It's a lot like asking, what's the best car for new drivers? There's no one best answer for everybody. It really depends on who you are and how you intend to use it. You know, are you looking for a fuel-efficient sedan, or are you looking for a big SUV that you can lug stuff around? And it's the same thing with guns. But there are some options that are definitely a lot better than others. And so what I'm going to try to do in this video is kind of narrow down the selection so that you can find the right gun for you. And the way to do that is to look at three key measures: reliability, effectiveness, and personal fit. Reliability means that you're going to need to select a gun that works 100% of the time. Every time you pull the trigger, it fires. Effectiveness means that it has to have effective stopping power in a real-life situation. So we're only going to look at guns that are calibered in a certain size bullet that have been shown to be effective in real-world scenarios. And finally, personal fit is that you need to find a gun that suits you, your size, your strength, your dress, and your personal lifestyle. It doesn't help you if you find this big gun that's very powerful, but it's not something that you feel comfortable carrying on a daily basis, because when you need that gun most, you won't have it on you. So we're going to look at reliability, effectiveness, and personal fit. Let's start with reliability. When you find yourself in a self-defense situation, you need that gun to work 99.99% of the time, as close to 100% of the time as possible, because your life could depend on it. If you spend any time at a gun range, or you know anyone that has, you know that a lot of guns jam. It happens all the time. And guns can jam on you for any number of reasons. It could be a user error where you're not gripping the firearm properly, so it kicks back and it doesn't load the next round. It could jam because you're using ammunition that's kind of incompatible with that gun. You know, different guns are finicky when it comes to what type of ammo it likes to accept, and if you use the wrong ammo, it won't fire properly. It could be that the gun is dirty and someone hasn't cleaned it and then stuff gets stuck in there. It could also be that the gun has mechanical problems and there's something wrong with it and that no one ever knew about, and so it's just not functioning properly. So there's all different reasons why a gun can jam on you, and at the gun range, it's no big deal. You can clear the jam, replace it with better ammo, clean the gun, whatever you have to do. But obviously, in a real self-defense situation, you don't have that luxury. You need to be able to draw your weapon and know with just about 100% certainty that when you pull the trigger, that gun is going to fire, and it's going to fire multiple times. So what that means is that you need to restrict your search for a gun to only those guns that are known for having impeccable reliability. And a good place to start with this is you go to any reliable gun store in your area, a gun store with a good reputation, and you ask the owners, hey, what are some good reliable handguns I might want to start looking at? And if they know what they're doing, they will point you in the direction of makes and models of guns that have been on the market for a while, that have been tested by thousands of people, tens of thousands of times, and have earned a stellar reputation. What you want to do for your first gun is you want to avoid any off-brands, you want to avoid any used guns. Those are certainly ways to save money, but it's not worth it. This is not the time to do that. So you want to stick with only the most reputable brands. You want to look at Glocks and Berettas and Smith & Wessons and Rugers and Sig Sauers, and only those brands that people are extremely comfortable getting behind. And you also have to understand that even within those excellent brands, there are certain models that have much better reliability than others. So, for example, I own two Beretta handguns, and one is a 92 FS. It's basically the same gun that was used by the military, the US military, for years and years. It was chosen because it's so reliable. And I also have this small gun called the Jetfire. It's chambered in 25 caliber, and it's not reliable at all. It jams on me all the time, no matter what I do. It's just finicky. So you not only have to go with a top manufacturer, a brand new gun from a top manufacturer, but you need to stick with a model that's been around for a while, that's been tested, and has that proven record of reliability. Next, we're going to look at effectiveness. And for a gun to be effective, it has to have immediate stopping power. There are all different guns come in all different calibers, and that basically means different sizes of bullets. And if you took a really small bullet like a .22 and you shot it at someone, yes, it could potentially kill that person. If it went through that person's eye, if it lodged in that person's heart, you can kill someone with a single .22 bullet. The problem is that statistically speaking, smaller, weaker ammunition does a much poorer job of immediately stopping your attacker than more powerful ammunition. What you need in a real life situation is immediate stopping power. So someone is coming at you, they're threatening to kill you, and you shoot them several times in the center of mass, which is right in the chest. And after getting hit several times, they immediately stop their attack. They drop to the ground, they're incapacitated so that you can get away safely. That's the kind of firepower that you need. Anything less than that could potentially work. I would never want to get shot with a 22 caliber bullet myself because it could kill me, it could do real damage, but you can't rely on that in a real world situation. So what you should really do is restrict yourself to certain calibers. And for me, I draw the line at a .380. So if you look at a .380 bullet or a 9mm bullet, they're very similar. The 9mm is a little more powerful. They're the same diameter, but the 9mm is longer. And if you look at those calibers and anything stronger, you're going to be okay in a real life situation. Assuming that you shoot several rounds into the center of mass of your attacker, you're going to be fine. And there are all these ballistic studies that have been done that show that the more you go up the scale, the better stopping power the bullet will have. And so some people would never even be caught dead carrying a .380 gun because they say it's not powerful enough. You should go with a 9mm, you should go with a 10mm, you should go with a .45. And to me, this is really a case of splitting hairs because while a larger bullet, a more powerful bullet could potentially do more damage, that's not the only factor to consider. If you fire a .45 handgun, it's going to have a lot more kick than a smaller gun like a .380. That means it's going to be much harder to put that gun back on target after your first shot and land multiple shots on your target. So would you rather land one .45 and then miss with your other shots, or would you rather land 3 or 4 .380s? I would rather land 3 or 4 shots with a .380. And this is where personal fit will come in. So there will be a lot of people who dismiss any smaller calibers and say you should always just go with the largest caliber possible. But to me, that really doesn't make sense because you're not comparing apples to apples. If you were big enough, strong enough to carry a large handgun, if it was no problem carrying that giant gun on you, and if all other things being equal, you shot someone, yes, you want to have a larger caliber gun. But there's so many other factors to consider that as long as you plan on hitting your opponent with multiple rounds, any of these calibers will do the job. So now let's talk about personal fit. And here's where the gun you choose really has to make sense for you. Assuming that you're restricting your search to only the top reliable firearms, and assuming you're restricting your search to anything that's chambered in .380 or above. For some people, that would be 9mm and above, but I think .380 and above is perfectly fine for the average person. You need to find a gun that has a size and a weight that really works for you. Because, look, one of the biggest problems in self-defense in general is you've got this great weapon. Maybe it's a stun gun or a pepper spray or a knife or a handgun, and it would really do the job. And then you're out at the grocery store or you're stopping to get gas and you're attacked and you didn't have it on you. The biggest problem with most self-defense weapons is not that it doesn't work as well as a slightly bigger, better weapon. The biggest problem is that it was too convenient to carry. So when you need it most, it's at home and it doesn't help you at all. You really need to find the best weapon that you will comfortably and reliably wear on you on a daily basis. That's where really the golden area is. It needs to be on you on a reliable basis because you never know when that fateful day is gonna come where you're completely taken by surprise and an attack comes and you reach for your gun, and if it's not there, you're in big trouble. So once you've determined what the reliable guns are and what the effective calibers are, you need to find something that fits for you. And again, if you're a smaller person, a weaker person, you're not gonna wanna have a really large, powerful handgun. You won't be able to conceal it well on you. It'll force you to wear big baggy clothing and jackets, so you're not gonna wanna wear it. In the summer, you're not gonna be able to shove it into your shorts. Like, you're gonna have to come up with some other way to do it, and it's not gonna be comfortable. And you'll just say, forget it, it's not worth it. Fortunately, there are guns that run the gamut from really small to medium to large, so you can find something that truly works for you. And part of that decision is gonna be figuring out how you actually want to wear that handgun. Some people wear these in the waistband holsters and they kind of shove the gun in there and it's well concealed and they're okay with it. But other people like myself find that really kind of uncomfortable. There's this gun that's kind of sticking out from your hip or in your appendix, which would be in the front, and you don't feel comfortable wearing it like that. So they even make smaller guns that you can actually put into a holster and put into your coat pocket or put into your pant pocket, which could be really effective and it's really easy to hide. They're really inconspicuous. So those can be great. But you really have to think about that and how you're gonna be comfortable carrying this firearm so that you have it on you when you need it most. So up on this chart, I put a number of handgun examples that are popular and could fit the bill for you. Again, these are all from top manufacturers and they're very popular guns. They have an excellent reputation for reliability, and any of these might work for you. And this is where you really need to go into a store and kind of handle the gun. See how it feels in your hand, see what the weight is, see what the size is. It could be misleading just looking at a picture. You need to actually feel it in your hand and see what works for you. And here's where personal preference really comes in because, for example, I own 5 different handguns. And the largest one is this Beretta 92 FS. It's extremely reliable. It's extremely pleasant to shoot. It feels great in my hands. But I feel it's just too big and heavy to carry on a daily basis. It's just this enormous gun. I would have to wear it in a holster outside my belt. I'd have to cover it up with a coat or something. And maybe if I'm going hiking in the woods or it's a cold winter month, I can get away with it. But in general, I just find it too cumbersome to carry on me. Now, contrast that, I have a friend who's the exact same size as me, 6'1", almost 200 pounds, and he carries this gun, in his pants, appendix carry, in a holster, and he has no problem at all with it. He doesn't say it's too big or too heavy. So it really kind of depends on who you are and what your comfort level is. The next gun I have is a Glock 26. This is a subcompact 9mm pistol. As far as 9mm guns go, it's really small, it's really compact, but it actually still is like a tank. This thing is built like a tank, it's heavy, and it's like carrying a little brick around. And there are times when I could shove it in a holster and or put it in like a fanny pack or a sling bag, and it's perfectly fine. But in the spring or the summer months, when I'm just wearing shorts, it really isn't that comfortable. And so I don't wear it as often as I do some of my smaller guns. The 2 guns that I carry most often are both chambered in .380. One is a Glock 42 and one is a Ruger LCP Max. Now, again, there are some experts who say that they would never be caught dead carrying a .380 as their primary firearm. They would only carry that as a backup in case their primary firearm jammed or ran out of ammunition. But for realistic self-defense situations, the type of situations that I'm likely to find myself in up close, these more than do the job. And the only difference in these two is the Glock only holds 6 rounds in the magazine, whereas the Ruger holds 10 magazines. So against multiple assailants, the Ruger definitely has an advantage. But I actually like the Glock gun better. I just like the way it's built. Glocks are extremely reliable. I mean, both these guns are reliable, but the Glock is just extremely reliable. So, I go back and forth on which one of these I carry. And finally, my last handgun is a hand-me-down that I got from my father, which he bought 40, 50 years ago. It's another Beretta. It's a 950. This is chambered in 25, which is a small, weaker caliber. I would love for this gun to be my primary carry. It's so small, it easily fits in the palm of my hand. The problem is it's just not reliable. I take it to the range and half the time it jams on me. It's just a smaller gun. It's not made the same way as bigger guns. It just has all these different mechanical issues that there's nothing I can do to fix. So because it jams on me, I would never count on it as my primary weapon. So just keep in mind that those are my own personal choices, and they may not be right for you, depending on, your style, your lifestyle, your size, everything like that. But what I really want you to get out of this video is that as long as you're talking about super reliable handguns, and as long as you're looking at calibers that have effective stopping power, then really the only answer is finding a gun that's a good fit for you. And that really becomes the most important criteria, because that'll determine whether you carry that gun on a regular basis or not. So at that point, you really need to go to a gun store, try out some things, hold them in your hand, and get a good feel for it. So I hope this helps. Make sure before you do anything else, you go out and you complete a gun safety course. That stuff is no joke. You need to know all of that. And then once you do, go into a gun store and start looking around. So good luck.